Breaking news. Patriots Nation, yes, my friends. The New England Patriots are once again dominating the headlines, and it's no surprise. Mike Vrabel has been showing that he knows exactly how to lead this team to victory. And let's start with the big one, the win over the Minnesota Vikings. It was an intense game, full of decisive moments, but the team's discipline, strategy, and toughness proved that the work being done is paying off. Before diving deeper into that win, I want to ask you something. What grade would you give Mike Vrabel as our head coach? In my opinion, he deserves 1,000 out of 10. I haven't felt this much excitement in decades. And let me say it loud. Vrabel, I believe. Week by week, the feeling grows stronger. We can reach another Super Bowl. And if this energy, this connection between fans, front office, and players keeps up, nobody is stopping us. But hold on. There's a lot more news coming your way. The countdown is on. In just a matter of days, the New England Patriots will have to trim their roster from 90 players down to 56. And with cutdown day looming next Tuesday, the pressure inside Foxborough is at a boiling point. Every snap in practice, every rep in the weight room, and every play in Thursday's preseason finale against the New York Giants could decide the fate of a career. But before we dive into who's fighting for their lives in New England, let's talk about the shockwave that hit Patriots Nation last night. Matthew Judon, the man in the red sleeves, officially signed with the Miami Dolphins. That's right, one of our own, a player who once symbolized grit and leadership for the Patriots defense, is now wearing aqua and orange. And while some fans might shrug it off saying he's past his prime, the reality is simple. It hurts to see him with a rival. Patriots fans don't forgive Dolphins signings easily, and this one will sting all season long. But let's bring it back to the roster battles, because that's where the real story lies. Thursday night against the Giants isn't just another preseason game. It's do or die for a lot of players wearing that flying Elvis on their helmets. Some of them know they're walking into Gillette Stadium for possibly the last time. And Patriots fans, you need to keep your eyes on the wide receiver room because it's the most crowded position on this team. Right now, New England has 11 receivers in camp. 11. Realistically, they'll keep 7, maybe even 6. That means at least 4 faces are going to vanish from this roster in less than a week. And here's the bombshell. Kendrick Bourne, once a fan favorite and breakout star, is right on the chopping block. Think about how far he's fallen. 2 years ago, Bourne was electrifying, making plays when the Patriots desperately needed a spark. Now, at 30 years old, he's battled injuries, missed critical practice time after hurting himself in a scrimmage before the first preseason game, and hasn't suited up since. Meanwhile, the
younger guys are catching fire. Effin Chisholm has been flashing, Javon Baker is fighting for a special teams role, and Kayshon Boutte, who many thought wouldn't even make it past April, is suddenly a breakout story, locking down a top spot in the depth chart. Add in DeMario Pop Douglas solidifying himself as the slot weapon, and Stephon Diggs bringing star power, and the math just doesn't work for Bourne. When you're sliding down the depth chart this late in camp, your career in Foxborough may already be over. And Bourne isn't the only big name on the hot seat. Brace yourselves, because safety Kyle Duggar's situation is just as shocking. Once considered a cornerstone of the Patriots' defense, Duggar has spiraled out of the rotation. He started last season as a surefire starter next to Jabro Peppers, but now he's been demoted to second team, then to scout team. Yes, scout team, the unit reserved for guys just fighting to give the starters a look in practice. To make matters worse, in the preseason game against the Vikings, Duggar was still on the field in the fourth quarter. A clear sign the coaching staff is either trying to showcase him for a trade or has already given up on him. He did manage an interception late in that game, but even that highlight was overshadowed by the fact that he nearly fumbled it away. The issue with Duggar isn't just performance, it's financial. Cutting him would mean swallowing a brutal $14.25 million in dead cap. That's a painful hit, but with the Patriots sitting on nearly $60 million in available space, it's possible the front office decides to bite the bullet. Still, trading him would be the smarter move. Even a 5th or 6th round pick would be better than letting him walk for nothing, and Thursday's showdown with the Giants could be his last real audition for another team. Patriots fans, this is the kind of roster decision that defines an offseason. Do you hang on to a declining veteran out of loyalty, or do you rip off the Band-Aid and move forward? The tough choices don't stop there. Offensive lineman Cole Strange is another name that once carried weight in New England, but the tide has completely turned against him. A former starter at left guard, Strange has been steadily replaced in practice by Jared Wilson and even Ben Brown, who's primarily a backup center. Coaches are doing everything they can to keep Strange off the field, and the numbers back it up. Last preseason, he logged 79 snaps. This year, just 49. His pass blocking grade is an abysmal 33.4, and his run blocking sits at a mediocre 59.1. For a unit tasked with protecting rookie quarterback Drake Maye, that simply isn't good enough. With his fifth-year option already declined and minimal dead cap tied to his deal, it feels like Strange is running out of chances. And then there's linebacker Jahlani Tavai, another surprising name on the potential cut list. Just last season, he led the Patriots in tackles. Today, he's sliding down the depth chart, plagued by injuries and struggling to fit into Mike Vrabel's defensive system. The front office has already brought in Robert Spillane, Christian Ellis, and Jack Gibbons, all of whom have impressed more than Tavai in both practice and preseason action. Ellis, in particular, has been a revelation in coverage, grading out far higher than Tavai, whose coverage numbers have been flat-out awful. Add in the fact that Vrabel clearly trusts Gibbons from their Tennessee connection, and suddenly Tavai's once solid role looks very shaky. His only hope? Landing on injured reserve to save a roster spot. If not, he could be gone. Patriots Nation, this is the reality of life in the NFL. The names we cheered for last season may not even make it to week 1 this year. Judon's already gone. Bourne is hanging by a thread. Duggar could be traded any day. Strange looks like a failed experiment. And Tavai? He's fighting injuries and the system itself. This isn't just about building a 53-man roster. It's about shaping the future of the New England Patriots under a new vision. And now I want to know what you think. If you were sitting in Elliott Wolf's chair, would you keep a veteran like Kyle Duggar for one more season? Or cut ties and move on? Would you save Kendrick Bourne's spot out of respect? Or hand it to a hungry young player like Keyshawn Bout? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because the decisions made in the next 7 days could set the tone for the entire 2025 season. And as we push deeper into this critical week, the tension surrounding these roster battles only grows. Every practice rep is magnified, every preseason snap feels like a playoff moment, and every player on the bubble knows that one mistake could be the difference between wearing Patriots gear on Sundays or sitting on the couch watching from home. That's what makes Thursday night against the Giants so dramatic. For some, it's not just about fighting for a spot on the Patriots, it's about fighting for their NFL careers. Let's circle back to the wide receiver room, because this is where fans are going to see some real fireworks. Stephon Diggs is locked in as the star. Demario Pop Douglas has earned his spot as the go-to slot option. Kyle Williams, with his versatility, is practically a lock as well. And don't overlook Matt Collins, who just made a highlight reel, one-handed catch in practice while running with the first team. He's been building chemistry with Drake Maye and showing that he can be more than just depth. Add in Keyshawn Bout, whose breakout this preseason has been one of the biggest surprises in Foxborough, and suddenly the puzzle is nearly complete. Effin Chisholm has flashed enough to make the staff believe he could be a developmental weapon, and Javon Baker's value on special teams might give him the final ticket. That's 7 names right there. Do the math. Someone big is getting squeezed out, and right now that someone is Kendrick Bourne.